how AI is actually changing the game for small and mid-sized businesses and where you are leaving money on the table. If you are a small to mid-sized business owner and you're treating AI like a nice to have, I want you to lean in today because in a recent report that Zoom has put out, looking at how AI is impacting small to mid-sized businesses 2 years after the big AI wave hit, the data is crystal clear how other business owners are already using AI to reclaim hours every week, making better decisions, growing revenue without adding more people to payroll. We've talked about some of this before, but I really want to hone in on some things in today's podcast. So I'm going to walk you through what they're doing, where they're seeing the biggest gains, and how you can plug in to some of the same advantages starting this month, starting this week, starting today, not when things slow down, not when you finally understand all of the tech, but now. Let's get into this. I want to welcome you back. I'm so glad that you're here with me. So, if you've ever thought, I'm on Zoom all day, but I still leave meetings with more work than when I came in. And I know that AI is a big deal, but I don't have time to become a tech expert. Or I'm scared to mess it up, use the wrong tool, or maybe I might make a bad call with all of the data. This episode today is going to be for you. I'm going to translate a research report that Zoom put out focused specifically on small to mid-sized businesses into plain, practical CEO level moves that you can make. We're going to talk about, number one, how small business owners actually feel about AI versus today versus 2 years ago. And then number two, where they're getting real measurable ROI. And number three, one real world case study of a small business that shrank busy work and grew revenue using AI just in Zoom. Hear me out, just in Zoom. And we'll talk about more. But number four, a step-by-step, no fluff action plan that you can start implementing this week or even today if you'd like. But by the end, you're going to have a simple roadmap to stop dabbling in AI and start using it as a business asset. Okay, let's start with the emotional side because of what keeps most business owners stuck. When AI hit the headlines a couple of years ago, the conversation was full of fear. I remember it. I don't know if you do or not, but everybody was scared to death. And some people actually still are. You know, is it going to replace jobs? Will it make a mistake and cost us more money? Can we trust it with our data? I still hear some of that today. But this Zoom report shows that those fears haven't disappeared. As I said, I still hear part of that today. But some of this has evolved. Concerns about unintended negative consequences have actually dropped a little bit since 2023, as more businesses have had time to test AI and see what they can and can't do with it. Some people are becoming more and more comfortable. At the same time, worries about bad or misleading information have risen because once people start using AI and they realize the powerfulness of it, you know, things are changing. But we all have to realize it's not perfect. It's not perfect. We're not perfect as humans. But here's what this tells me as a strategist. The question is no longer, should I use AI? The real question is how do I use AI safely, strategically, and profitably? That's the big mindset shift for us as a CEO is instead of standing on the sidelines watching everybody else experiment, our job is to set the rules of the game. That's really where we are. Is where does AI fit in our role today as a CEO? Where does it fit in our company today where human judgment is non-negotiable? And what does success look like for us? You know, I think I mentioned this in maybe the last podcast or the one prior, but think of AI as hiring a junior team member, employee, assistant, professional, whatever you want them to be, but smart, fast, but inexperienced. You don't hand them the keys to everything, just like you wouldn't hand the keys to your 13-year-old or your 14-year-old and send them out on their way. You train them, you supervise them, and you use them where they shine. Maybe it's hauling hay first. That's where they shine, out on the farm, not out on the highway, in the city, on the streets. It's using them where you start training them first, giving them a little bit, and then giving them a little bit more. You train them on a little bit of information. You supervise them before you totally release them. So that's kind of the way that this works. And so let's get really practical. The report that I was looking at and reading, it walks you through how tools like Zoom has what they now call AI companion, and it's being used by small and mid-sized businesses. On one of the papers, there's a section, or on this paper, there's a section titled The Impact of AI on Small Businesses that highlights exactly this. And here's what happens behind the scenes in businesses like ours, like yours, is AI is doing the first draft. I think we talked about this a week or two ago, but it does the first draft. So owners and teams are using AI inside of Zoom to do this. It's summarize meetings and create the first draft of projects, project briefs, maybe blog posts and reports, and then pull key points from long conversations and chat threads. And so instead of starting from a blank page, they're starting from a decent draft, a first pass, and then using their expertise to refine that. My AI coach calls it the ta-da. We train it. We have to start with training it, and then we do some digging and giving it more information and digging stuff out. That's the same thing that we have to do when we're working with ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, whichever one that it is that we're working with. And so during client calls and strategy sessions or even team meetings, this AI companion is automatically doing things behind the scenes for us. It keeps up with action items, decisions that are made, follow up tasks that are talked about during these meetings. And so, what that means for us is we can actually listen to what's going on in the meeting and engage instead of typing furiously to try to keep up with notes or writing, as I typically do, and trying to keep up. Now, because I use Zoom and then I use a second one called Fathom, and now there's so many. There's fireflies, there's Otter, I could just go on naming some of them, but they all do similar things, and we should be using them so that we can totally focus on what's going on. There's some companies that are having meetings that won't allow your meeting notes in, but I can tell you there's ways around that. Get you one of these, a plaid. Those of you that are listening audibly, you can't see it, but it's a plaid device, and you can record and then upload it to an app. Use your voice notes on your phone and get the transcript and turn around and use that. There's all kinds of ways that you can get around that today. But AI connects the dots across communication and today. And because it sits across, meetings, messages, and other interactions, it helps us decide various things. For example, maybe in the meetings you talked about pricing, maybe you talked about things that need to take place next week, or maybe there were concerns or objections or prospects that you discussed. Well, the thing is that these meeting takers can summarize those notes for you and turn around and do follow up in emails specifically for you for that. And so, one of the things that was on one of the pages in the report, it was showing how small business owners, rate AI's impact, and the biggest benefit clusters around saving time and improving decision making, with very few businesses saying that AI has had no impact at all. I don't think very many businesses today, if they were using AI, could say that they weren't getting much impact. It's amazing at the time savings that you can get in various ways if you were to implement artificial intelligence. So, if you're in a place where AI is something that you mean to look into, I want you to hear this. And that is, other owners out there today, business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs, people just like you, people just like me, they're already converting those hours that they're saving into insights and into a competitive edge ahead of us. And they're going to move leaps and bounds ahead of us if we don't get busy and implement these tools into our business. I'll tell you, I've had conversations with some businesses, and I've asked them, where are you at with artificial intelligence, and have you started incorporating it into your business? And some of them are like, we don't have any plans to incorporate that yet. And I'm thinking, with the business that you're in, you should have already had a plan, should already be implementing it, because if you don't, it won't be 12 months until your doors are shut, because you are way behind. I'm just dumbfounded at some of the businesses in what they do, that they have not even started an AI plan at this point. It scares me. It literally scares me for them. And so I want to today unpack three benefit areas where AI is really moving the needle for and small to mid-size businesses. And one of them is what I talk about almost in every single podcast, and that is reclaiming the hours that we as CEOs are wasting in admin time. And so, fast forward to where many small business owners are now. This report notes that a strong majority of people are using AI in their business, and most of them see a meaningful impact on how they spend their time. And so, thinking about your week, how many hours just in note taking, how many hours do you spend in meetings? How many hours are you rewriting notes, typing follow-ups, or hunting for what someone says? AI compresses this dramatically if you have note takers in those meetings and you keep up with those transcripts. So, some example use cases are the meeting summaries after every client call, every board meeting, whatever the types of meetings are that you're going to, one-on-ones, all of the various different types of things, but getting instant bullet points of decisions and next actions and drafting follow-up emails generated from that summary. The time savings is first an obvious return on AI, and it's the easiest to measure. And I'm going to tell you, oftentimes going to, attending a virtual event and recording it, or having that one-on-one with somebody, or recording these various types of meetings, if people will allow it. Some of the things that I do is I will take those transcripts and I will ask for, what are the golden nuggets, not just getting, the decisions that were made and all of those things, but we oftentimes just during conversation dropping value bombs. Okay. So I ask ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, whichever one you're using, ask, what are the golden nuggets that were dropped during this call? What are the mic drop comments made? Get that information. You'll be amazed at how you can take a conversation with somebody and get content out of that, out of those mic drops, out of those golden nuggets, and take just a meeting and get content. That right there is worth the price of you listening to this podcast. Oh my goodness. I could give you strategies all day long. But another major theme in this report is that small businesses are learning on AI for improved data analysis and decision making. And the benefit this benefit moves into a top spot, has moved into a top spot over the past 2 years. Data, you got to have data. Data proves all the things, right? And so, what does it look like in real life? AI pulls insights from sales calls, flags the most common objections. It reviews customer support chats and surfaces reoccurring issues. In one of the podcasts I just recently did, we talk about how learning is going to be showing up in workflows. I mean, these things, AI shows up in all of these things, and it helps summarize performance across different campaigns so that you can see what's working, what's not working, instead of making decisions based upon your hunch or your gut feel or scattered notes that you're making based upon patterns or summaries that you can review in just mere minutes. The other one is customer experience, showing up faster, showing up smarter. These are these are things that people love, right? And so the report also mentions AI being used throughout someone's customer journey, from meetings to ongoing communication to creating a smoother, more responsive experience. And so just imagine if you never missed a follow up because your AI generated action list feeds directly into your task system, that you had an agent set up that once your meeting notes were created, you had an agent that took place that fed that item that needed a follow up right into a task system. How'd that make you feel? That you didn't have to take that and enter it in somewhere or write it down in a notebook on a task list or a sticky note stuck somewhere that's going to get lost. Like I had one happen today. I hate to admit it, but I did. But sending clients to a clean professional recap after every single meeting without writing it yourself, wouldn't that be phenomenal? That it just takes your meeting summary and flips that into an email and sends it off to the person that you met with, and it's summarized, and you didn't have to spend any time doing it. Ah, wouldn't that be good? I remember being in corporate and having to spend time taking all of my little notes and bullet points, and I would halfway get something written down because I was so into the discussion, and then I would be like, what in the world does that note mean? I couldn't remember. I would love to go back in time and have these AI tools back then that I have access to today. And all of these things build trust. And trust, especially in a referral driven business, is currency. Now, I get it. In some businesses, there's compliance issues. There's things that we can't necessarily record. We have to be careful. And so there are things that you have to work around. You have to be careful about what you're putting into these systems. But I will tell you that if you set your systems up right and you train your people, you've got the proper SOP, standard operating procedures, then you can do these things right. So let's go into the next one, and that's the real case study that I wanted to talk about, and humanizing with this real example from the report. And it was called couch plus Cork. I believe it was. I'm pretty positive. Couch plus Cork, and they ran this virtual wine tasting for casual and corporate clients. Before AI, their founder, Nancy, was spending a lot of time on logistics and following up and with running events and meetings. And when they started using Zoom's AI companion, here's a few things that actually changed. Post meetings began to shrink. And with AI generating these meeting summaries and extracting these key takeaways, the time spent documenting and organizing information dropped to just mere minutes instead of hours. Just like I was telling you, it took me forever to pull my notes together after meetings back in corporate because I didn't have the ease of what we have today, and that I almost seconds after I end a meeting today, the meeting notes are in my email. And it's just so easy for these things to be summarized. And so internal communication got tighter for Nancy as well as a result of using this AI companion. And so the team could quickly align on everything that was said, what was promised, and what needed to happen next without anybody having to rewatch the recordings. Wow, right? That's great. And so more time shifted back into revenue producing activity, which could happen for us as CEOs today. So with the operational friction reduced, Nancy and her team could focus more on customers, sales, and growth, which is the very thing that I'm always, talking about, because those are the things that we need to be focusing on the most. In fact, statistics say we should be spending 60% of our time on revenue producing activities. And so the report also notes that they saw a significant revenue increase just as a result of these meeting notes utilizing this AI companion. Now, I want you to think of this. I want you to think about this because in this scenario, it was double-digit growth with Nancy directly contributing a big portion of that time and efficiency created just by Zoom. So I want you to think about this. If that much time was saved, that they could spend time focusing more on customers, sales, and growth, and it increased revenue by double digits just by using Zoom AI Companion, how much more time and energy could be spent on customer sales and revenue, and how much more revenue increase could they get? Could it be triple digit growth if Nancy and her team implemented AI in just more use than the Zoom AI Companion? Think about it. Think about it. Here's why this matters to us. This was not a tech startup, not a Fortune 500 company. It's a small business, just like yours, using a familiar platform called Zoom that we are all on every single day, and layering AI on the top of it, just like any of us could do. They didn't reinvent their business model. They optimized their business model. Now, let's move on from interesting to implemented. Okay. So, this is where I'm going to give you a simple 30-day plan to start using AI like a real CEO, not a hobbyist, not a curious hobbyist. So, step number 1 is we're going to identify our top busy work drains. We all have them. We pretty much know what they are. So take a blank piece of paper and write down 3 activities that absolutely eat your time. They truly require your expertise, and they happen every single week. What are those? They eat your time. They truly require they don't require your expertise. I'm sorry. They don't require your expertise, and they happen every single week. For many of you, I can already tell you what they're going to be. They're going to be meetings and follow-ups, documentation, standard operating procedures, emails, and basic content. Right? You agree? So first, I want you to think about this. Can those be your first AI targets that you start working on? Meetings and follow-ups, documentation, standard operating procedures, emails, and basic content. And then let's plug AI into tools that you already are using. You don't need 20 new platforms. Just start where you already live. If you're already using Zoom, explore what the AI Companion can do for you. You may have to upgrade to use it. Check into it. I can't remember what mine costs. I have no idea. It's not that much. But meeting and summaries are important. Or you can get Fathom. It's free. Get Fireflies for 45 minutes. It's free. Get Otter for, I don't remember how long you can get Otter for. Read AI, 45 minutes. Action plans, recap emails, and more. And then report highlights on how Zoom intentionally built AI, inside the platform that you already know so that you're not starting over with something unfamiliar. Explore it. And then come back and report how this did for you. I would love for you to. So ask yourself, can these meetings be summarized for me? Yes, they can. Can this conversation be turned into a follow-up email or a brief? Yes, it can. I'm answering these for you because I know. Can this client call become content or an internal SOP? Probably so. Because I'm telling you, if you will go back and ask questions or prompt, take that transcript and put it in ChatGPT and ask, what were the golden nuggets that were dropped? Were there any mic drops? You're going to find some. And then you can turn around and create content out of that. But if the answer is yes to those questions, AI should be involved. And number 3 is you can start with an assistant level task, not critical decisions. Start with these small things. And in the next 30 days, I want you to treat AI like a very fast assistant, not a replacement for your brain. It's not a replacement for your brain. It's just a team member. It's an assistant. Let AI draft it. You edit it. Summarize. You verify. Suggest. You decide. So AI drafts, summarize, suggest. You edit. You verify. And you decide. This keeps risk low while you're building confidence. And then set some guardrails. Remember that concern in the report about bad or misleading information is valid. So there was some concern in the report, but you're going to set guardrails. If you have concerns, set guardrails. And here's some of the concerns is somebody may send something out that's not been reviewed or doesn't sound human. You're not going to let that happen because you're going to edit, verify, and decide. Right? Here's your guardrails. AI never sends anything to a client without human review. AI doesn't get direct access to sensitive financial or legal data unless you've checked the tools, policies, and are comfortable with them. AI is used to support decisions, not make them. This keeps you in control. You set the standards, you set the guardrails. And so then you won't have to be concerned about things being sent out improperly. One of the things that I'd like for you to do is pick one of those things that I've asked you to do and track it for 30 days. The report talks about AI's impact being felt in time savings versus business performance. And I want you to measure that yourself. Choose one metric, whether it's hours of admin work per week, time from meeting to follow up, number of opportunities or referrals that you're actually going to follow up on, or revenue generated from calls booked through this AI assisted process. Track where you are now and track again in 30 days after you've intentionally used AI and see where you are. If you do things the right way, you should be coming back and saying, we cut our post-meeting admin time in half. We're responding to leads, Tanya, much faster. We're closing more opportunities, Tanya, that are already on our calendar. And you're going to say, Tanya, you're right. This is exactly how I should have been thinking about AI. It wasn't just a fad. It's now creating leverage for me. I would love to hear you say that. But here's what I want you to walk away with today. AI is no longer an experiment that's happening out there today. It's real. It's being used in big companies. It's being used in small businesses, mid-sized businesses. And the Zoom report makes it extremely clear that people are already using it to work smarter, serve clients better, and to grow without burning out. It's happening. Your competitive advantage is not whether you know every AI feature under the world, under the sun, under the world. You do not have to know it all. You just have to get started. You just have to get started. Your competitive advantage is how fast are you willing to test? How clearly do you define what success looks like and doesn't look like? And how well that you lead your team through the change. You don't need to turn into a full-time tech person. You need to stay the CEO and let AI be the part of the support system that protects your time, increases your capacity, and amplifies your relationships. You will learn AI more and more and more and more. I have learned that the faster I get out there, if I learn something and I turn around and teach it, the more things happen. I've wanted to be a perfectionist. I'll tell you that. I've wanted not to do things until they're perfect. But I've stopped trying to be that way. I've been brought up to be that way. My dad taught me to be perfect, but I'm not perfect. In corporate, things had to be perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't want to be perfect per se. I love it, but it's dragging me down. I make more money when I do things fast. Test, experiment, implement fast. Grant Cardone says, go fast, go faster, go faster. Figure it out as you're going. And the more I'm doing that, the more I'm liking it. And I just want to say, if the episode today has sparked any ideas for you, here's your next move. Pick one reoccurring meeting that's on your calendar where you're constantly doing follow-up and admin afterwards, and turn on those admin or those AI features, or get Fathom or something else, Otter, Fireflies, and use it and let it handle the notes, the summary, the action items. Draft an email for you. And by the end of the week, ask yourself, did this make my job as a CEO easier? Did it help me show up better for my clients? And if the answer is yes to that, scale it. Roll it out across more meetings. Just test it with one, and then roll it out to more meetings, and then more processes, and then more parts of your week. Just test. That's all I'm asking you to do. And then if you want help mapping out where AI and referrals and strategic delegation intersect in your business so that you can get out of the weeds and back into your CEO role, then I can help you with that. I can help you with that. I just want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for growing with me. Thank you for being a great CEO, doing your job. Thank you for implementing AI, because this movement is going to take you somewhere. In this episode, or if this episode helped you see that AI, or helped you see AI through a more strategic lens, share this with another business owner. Comment and say, Tanya, I needed this today. I needed this push, and keep pushing me. I've been stuck. I've been overwhelmed, but I appreciate the clearer path forward. I will see you again next week. Thank you for being here. Bye.